What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, December 22nd, 2023, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 2:33 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some Russian Doomsday planes that flew to Siberia late last night, and we currently have a U.S. presidential Doomsday plane up in the air and a U.S. nuclear war command and control plane up in the air right now. And here we have the Russian Doomsday planes. They left Moscow late last night. There were about half a dozen of them. They went to Novosibirsk and Omsk and some other cities in Siberia. This is very serious and very concerning because I'm not aware of Putin traveling to Novosibirsk in the middle of the night or some Russian elites going there in the middle of the night. It's pretty bizarre. It's not the type of city that Russian leaders have major diplomatic meetings in, or government leaders have any kind of government meetings. You know, Novosibirsk is a very small city in the middle of nowhere. So this is pretty concerning. And here's another screenshot showing all of these Russian Doomsday planes going back to Moscow after landing in Novosibirsk and Omsk. You can see half a dozen of them. We have a Tu-204, a Tu-214PU, a Tu-214SR. So I don't know what's going on, guys, but the U.S. military is on high alert. The Russian military is on high alert. Here we have a Russian airborne command post flying just northeast of Moscow late last night, doing loops over Yaroslav. Very, very concerning, guys. Okay, something big is about to go down. And in addition to all the Russian Doomsday planes, look at all of these C-17s and C-130s that were going back and forth from Ramstein to the Middle East. Some of them went to Germany, some of them went to Cyprus, some of them went to Turkey. But here you have half a dozen of these planes. We have C-130s, C-17s, absolutely insane. So it looks like the U.S. military is building up its stocks in the Middle East in preparation for some kind of massive escalation, whether it's going to be Israel and Lebanon or Operation Prosperity Guardian. I don't know, guys, but the U.S. military is still on high alert. And here we have a close-up shot of some more NATO planes flying around Lebanon late last night and the Eastern Mediterranean. Multiple aerial refuelers, C-130s. Just a lot of activity here last night. And we also had a C-5 Galaxy fly from Ramstein to southern Finland to Turku. And C-5 Galaxies are the largest aerial transport planes in the U.S. military. They can carry a lot of cargo and heavy cargo. And this thing went from Ramstein to Turku in the middle of the night last night. Very strange. And we also had a KC-135 aerial refueler fly north from the UK. There was no plane with it. It was just flying by itself, and it flew along the coast of Norway towards the Barents Sea. So that tells me that it probably had a P-8 Poseidon with it, or maybe a RC-135 with it. But that plane probably had its transponder off while the aerial refueler had its transponder on, and they were probably going up to the Russian Arctic to monitor the Russian Northern Fleet, or maybe those ballistic missile tests that Russia had scheduled in the Barents Sea region. And we had a British aerial refueler and a British Eurofighter Typhoon flying near the Sinai Peninsula last night. Very unusual there. So I want to just update you guys on some of the latest breaking news, but the U.S. military is on high alert. The Russian military is on high alert. And we have the possibility of terror attacks here in the U.S. and in Europe. So be very careful if you're going out anywhere in public. in the coming weeks, especially this weekend for Christmas or next week for New Year's. Be very, very careful. So I want to just read to you what one of my subscribers sent to me. This person lives in northern New Hampshire. Hey, Greg, I just wanted to reach out and mention the amount of air traffic that we've had overhead, both on Flight Tracker and off Flight Tracker. It seems to be a lot of refuelers lately. There has been some fighter jet activity over the White Mountain National Forest in northern New Hampshire, but that's somewhat normal. They do training up there. But the amount of refuelers, it seems like every afternoon and evening, they're circling for hours on end. I live probably 35 minutes north of the National Guard base in Concord, New Hampshire, but I am on the flight path for the refuelers when they're circling. Last night there was a C-17 that took off from Concord, which is not normal, and it was heading towards New York before it shut off its transponder. So somebody who lives in northern New Hampshire or central New Hampshire saying that they've been seeing a lot of aerial refuelers flying over their house with their transponders off. And another subscriber sent me a comment saying they live near Hill Air Force Base in Utah. And a few weeks ago, they saw 5 warthogs flying into the base, and they were refitted. With what they have been refitted them, I am unclear. They're definitely doing more training exercises as well. Okay, so some A-10 warthogs flying around near Hill Air Force Base, and they were apparently refitted, and lots of training exercises going on up there. And some of my sources from around the country have been telling me that there's been an increase in activity near some very sensitive and important U.S. government and U.S. military installations. For example, Raven Rock, there was a Black Hawk helicopter that flew to Raven Rock the other day. One of my sources near Raven Rock saw it. It went to Raven Rock. One of my sources near Patuxent River saw multiple military helicopters flying in formation the other day. So get prepared, guys. Things are really escalating. 2024 is going to be absolutely insane. We have all these war fronts opening up. North Korea testing a solid fueled ICBM with a range of 9,000 miles. And the treaty that was signed between North and South Korea in 2018 has been scrapped. And North and South Korea have moved their artillery back towards the DMZ. And South Korea, Japan, and the US have started doing nuclear war exercises. And the other day, we had a US presidential Doomsday plane fly over the Gulf of Mexico with its transponder off, which is extremely unusual as well. And we have some major breaking news coming in this morning from the UN Security Council. They approved a resolution pressing for the passage of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Okay, so they're going to mandate humanitarian aid go into Gaza. And it took several days of negotiations led by the United States for this resolution to be passed. But the Security Council stopped short of a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire, instead approving a watered down measure in an effort to survive a veto from the US. And the US and Russia ultimately abstained from voting. So, very interesting, guys. So, no UN ceasefire, but the UN is mandating that humanitarian aid be allowed to enter into the Gaza Strip. And the Israeli foreign minister responded, and he said that Israel will continue the war until the release of all the abductees and the elimination of Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Israel will continue to act according to international law, but will review all humanitarian aid to Gaza for security reasons. So Israel's not backing down, guys. They're going to continue until it's over. And the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, said that as well a few days ago. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, they have brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you have to use the link preparewithnyprepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. And this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life. and it's all contained within 6 rugged watertight buckets, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. Free shipping included, 25% off their normal price. Use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get the discount. They also have a 2-week emergency food supply, which is excellent for outdoorsmen or people who go vehicle camping. They also have a general store. If you click the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com, it'll take you to their general store where they have everything you can imagine, from potassium iodide to water filters, solar generators, solar panels, survival seeds, fire starters, anything you can imagine, it's all there. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month freeze-dried food supply. And the link is in the description below this video. And apparently Putin spoke with the leader of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, on efforts to de-escalate the war. And the Iranian foreign minister spoke with the Russian foreign minister about the war in Gaza. And the Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley says UN anti-Semitism led to the October 7th massacres. And the Secretary General of the UN said a bunch of things about the war. I want to read to you what he said. He said, "I am disappointed in the Israeli officials who question the two-state solution. The ongoing nightmare in the Gaza Strip must end. We lost the largest number of our employees in Gaza since the founding of the UN. There is no safe place in Gaza, and I consider the continued work of the humanitarian agencies a miracle. We waited 71 days for Israel to allow aid to enter from the Kerem Shalom crossing. Israeli hostilities constitute an obstacle to the distribution of relief in Gaza. Nothing justifies the Hamas attack on October 7th and the continued firing of rockets towards Israel. Nothing justifies violating international humanitarian law and the policy of collective punishment. We have not seen anything similar to what is happening in Gaza. The Gaza Strip is on the verge of a catastrophic famine. 1.7 million Gazans were forced to leave their homes, and the medical sector collapsed." So the leader of the UN is kind of one-sided here. He's basically throwing Israel under the bus and barely mentioning what Hamas did to Israel. And in response to escalating Houthi attacks on commercial vessels, South Korea urged South Korean shipping companies to alter their routes, prioritizing the safety of both ships and crews by avoiding the Red Sea passage. So more shipping companies are going to start avoiding the Red Sea. This is going to be a disaster for the Biden administration, because now we're over 8 shipping companies that don't want to send their ships through the Red Sea. Okay, major shipping companies like Maersk and BP, okay, BP Oil Company. I mean, these are major shipping companies, and they're not going through the Red Sea anymore. They have to go around Africa, which is going to cost a lot more money and take a lot more time. It's going to have a global impact. So if the Biden administration doesn't do something soon, it's going to get a lot worse. And the Israeli Defense Forces conducted a number of airstrikes on southern Lebanon after more than 20 plus rockets and missiles were fired from southern Lebanon towards Israeli settlements in northern Israel. So the situation between Israel and Hezbollah is continuing to escalate. And the Iranian militias in Iraq claimed responsibility for attack on Eilat in southern Israel. And here's a translated version of the document that they released claiming responsibility. So you can see here, they claim responsibility for this attack on Eilat. This is the original document. And the Russian Foreign Ministry said there will be a response to America's deployment of missiles in Europe, Asia, and the Pacific. And Ukraine shot down 24 out of 28 Shahed drones launched by Russia in an overnight attack that damaged residential buildings in Kyiv. And what you're looking at here is a video showing some damage to this apartment block. You can see the top of it got hit by these drones. Very sad situation, guys. They keep hitting these civilian targets. I don't understand why. I guess just to terrorize Ukrainians. Apparently, also an infrastructure facility and grain warehouses were hit in southern Ukraine. And Russia also said that its air defenses intercepted 5 Ukrainian drones south of Moscow in the space of less than an hour. The defense ministry said 4 were intercepted over the Kaluga region and a 5th was destroyed inside the Moscow region. And Zelensky said he wants to build 1 million drones a few days ago. Okay, 1 million drones, and he wants a 500,000 man army. Okay, so things in Ukraine are going to escalate. Ukraine is building up a 500,000 man army. Russia's building up a 600,000 man army. So the Ukraine situation is going to escalate next year because both Putin and Zelensky are on the chopping block. They're both up for re-election. Their reputations are on the line. Plus, there could be a new president here in the U.S. So both of them are feeling the heat to do something big now. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I'll be back later on this evening with some more breaking news. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to announce the winners of the 100,000 subscriber giveaway just yet. I ran out of time and I didn't get a chance to do it. I will do it next week after the holidays because I'm going to be busy over Christmas. You might see less videos during Christmas and Christmas Eve. I'll probably just post some off-roading and shooting videos and non-breaking news videos. Potentially, I may release some breaking news videos if I have time. And I will be back to my normal schedule after Christmas. But I'll be back later on this evening with another update. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon below so you get notified when I post these updates. And if for whatever reason you haven't seen a notification from me in a little while, go onto YouTube and just search my name, NYPrepper, and manually check to see if I didn't post something because I always post at least 1 or 2 videos a day. So if you haven't seen a notification in a while, it means for whatever reason they didn't send it to you. So take care, guys. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.